Alrighty, we're back in the Detroit Spotlight here, and this is talking about some of AMC's compact cars. And basically, the article says that with all the publicity raging over electric cars, the idea seems to have emerged that there's no some compact model in Detroit's future unless it is battery powered. This isn't so. Basically, AMC was working on a small car here at the time. The model, let's see, was a 100-inch wheelbase, and I think they mentioned the name Cavalier. I'm not sure if that's what they were going to call it or what, but it talks about a small vehicle that AMC wanted to produce. This is a neat article. It says a new kind of moving violation. Those few people who cough up $18,000 to buy a Ford GT Mark III, Ford's Division Street version of its Champion GT40, almost invariably are going to encounter the same sort of trouble that was visited upon the division's boss, Don Frey. The car, of course, is a showstopper in city traffic, as Frey found out over the course of several weekends when he drove it from his Dearborn office to his Bloomfield Hills home. Police and communities along the route finally pulled him over, told him that he was violating absolutely no laws, but he was creating a traffic hazard as other motorists gawked, slowed, speeded up, darted in and out of traffic, trying to pull him close to see what he was driving. The police asked him to use back streets in traversing the route, which he was glad to do. He has, however, stopped driving the monster in traffic. Imagine that. I mean, that's 1967. You see a GT40, well, the street version of a GT40 driving down the street. That's incredible. What a sight to see. I can definitely understand that. Here's an article here. It mentions that Ford has another interest in building small cars, 95 to 100-inch wheelbase. They call it the Cardinal. I'm not exactly sure what that was supposed to be, because in 67 you obviously had the Falcon, but I don't know on what wheelbase a Falcon rides, so I'm not sure if that's about the same size. They mentioned some of the engines here. Would have came with 13-inch wheels, disc brakes, engine 144 cubic inch V4 that produced about 110 horsepower, and basically that's a 289 cut in half according to the article. So that's interesting. And then below that, I don't know if you can see the picture here. That's pretty cool. They have a chopped Mustang that they showed. Now touring the show circuits is Ford's Mach 1, a car that is a full 3.5 inches lower than the standard 67 Mustang. It's pretty neat. It never went into production that I know of. I mean, as with the chopped roof, but it is a kind of a cool looking car to go to the show. Now, this is a neat section here in the Detroit Spotlight. It's called As Rumor Has It. They mentioned some things that might be coming around the pike. Air suspension is due for a comeback, partially true. Demand is unusually high for self-leveling devices, so that's interesting. It also says here that they believe that Chrysler has abandoned its turbine project, but that's false. The engineers are currently working on a 5th-generation turbine. I don't know if you've ever seen the Chrysler turbine, but if you haven't, look it up on YouTube. What a cool car. Front vent windows are on the way out. True, all 67 GM hardtops are slated for elimination of the vents. That's sad. Those are really nice. If you've ever owned a car, on both my 84 Crown Vics I haven't. Boy, are those handy. I wish all cars had it, even to this day. Let's see, it says Chrysler's working on a $5,000 plus sports car. It's kind of like the T-Bird or the Riviera. That's kind of neat. Let's see. What else? Ford is sorry it dropped its T-Bird convertible. True, the model will be back in the 68 lineup. They say that, but as far as I know, there was never a 68 Thunderbird that was a convertible. I can picture 2-door hardtops, 2-door Landaus, and the 4-door Landau with a vinyl top, but I surely cannot recall a 68, even though I like the 68s, but I can't recall one. Let's see, what else is interesting here. Here's a Monroe ad. It's kind of neat. And look what it is. I don't know if you can zoom in here and see that. The camera would focus. That is looks to be a 64 Galaxy. That's my favorite Galaxy, of course. Let's see, here's an interesting advertisement here for J.C. Whitney. I still get their catalogs today. Looks like a bunch of Mustang parts here. Pretty neat. Some Corvair parts, horns. That's pretty cool. This is a neat article. I don't know what you think of the Toronado. It's a pretty cool car. This gentleman made a gullwing Toronado, and it's just slick. You can see a picture here. There's the gullwing there, and there's the original Toronado. Changed the front end. Boys, that's sweet. That is cool. And basically it says that John Mecum Jr. liked the Toronado, but 49,000 of them on the road dictated no Me Too for him. So it's pretty interesting. Goes through and talks about how they made it, and just really, really cool. If There's a neat advertisement for LPs back in the day. I see some Dean Martin, Roger Williams. Wow. Pretty cool. Peter, Paul, and Mary. Tony Bennett, Cher. That's pretty neat. Here's another cool advertisement. I'll give credit to Pontiac. They had some pretty cool advertisement back in the day. This one talks, they call it the Great Imposter, and it talks about that overhead cam 6-cylinder that they had in some of their models. And I'll read it to you real quick. There's an enormously capable overhead cam 6 under the hood that delivers 215 horsepower at 5,200 RPM without straining. Special suspension that practically laminates the wheels to the asphalt. A brute of an all-synchro 3-speed mounted on the floor, or you can order the 4-speed synchro. And it goes on to talk about it. Just cool. That's the overhead cam Sprint. Kind of a neat European type vehicle, you know, compared to the big block V8s of the time. Something different. I don't know how many of those still exist, but here is a very good article, and I'm not going to get into it now. I'm going to do a separate video on it. This is the car of the year, and that's the Cougar. Wow, very cool. So we'll come back to that. That definitely deserves its own video there. I don't know if you're a fan of the Cougar. I sure am. Boy, is that interesting. So we'll come back to that momentarily. Here's some Motor Trend's special awards section, which is pretty cool. Basically, they talk about, here's a neat design, the energy absorbing steering column made by Saginaw. That's definitely a lifesaver. Shifter for automatic transmissions by Hurst. There they are down there. I don't know if you can see them there. That's pretty cool. They talk about the wide oval tire by Firestone. Articulated glass window by Corning Glass. Collapsible spare tire, which is really cool. There it is down there in the trunk well. That's very, very cool. So this is some of the awards they gave out in '67. Here's a neat article here. It's called Design and Engineering Trendsetters, and they show, I don't know if you can see it here, the wipers on the front of that Pontiac. And those are called articulated wipers, work close to corner posts to increase visibility, and that's on a '65 Grand Prix, which in and of itself is an awesome looking car. They talk about Olds climate combustion control, available on 67 V8s, and it has to do with, let's see, temperature controlled hot air to the car for year-round economy. They have Fisher body, which I don't know if the new GMs have, probably not. We had a '79 Bonneville, and on the side of the rocker panels, there's a chrome strip, and it said body by Fisher, so it was kind of neat. I don't know when they quit doing that, but that's just kind of neat. These are body seat back locks, so the rear occupants in an accident won't go flying forward if there is an accident. This, of course, is cool. Some of your instrumentation here, that's from an Olds. It's called the Rocket Rally Pack Instrument Cluster, and then of course Pontiac. That is really cool. Had their tack on the hood. I don't care who you are. That's cool. Here's a neat tailgate designed by Ford. As you can see, it drops and it also opens to the side. That's pretty cool. That was introduced in '66 on their wagons, which back in the day, wagons were quite popular. And it's a shame they're not anymore. Really, in SUVs, a station wagon was 4-wheel drive. That's about it. So it's a shame because wagons are pretty damn cool. Here's a neat racing article on Can-Am. I'm not really going to get into it too much. To show you a picture of some of the cars they used to race back then. Pretty cool. I don't know much about the racing back in the '60s. I might have to look at that article later. It's a neat advertisement here. Just once again, the artwork and the cars. Wow, just so cool back then. There's a Thunderbird here. I love that Thunderbird with a grille like that. Which, like I said, I don't think they ever made a convertible. Correct me if I'm wrong in that body style, but... And here's a neat article we'll get into on the next segment. Talks about the Cutlasses. And these are when Cutlasses were Cutlasses, not the Cutlasses of the 90s that were front-wheel drive. I mean, the last real Cutlass was probably, somewhere from the 80s. Rear-wheel drive Cutlasses with the V8s. I think they quit making them in, 87, 88, whatever it was. But these are real Cutlasses, so we'll get into those here in just a moment.